The village of Dunhallow nestled in the shadow of the Blackspire Mountains, a forbidding range said to harbour fell beasts and ancient curses. Chief amongst these terrors was Vardraxis, the storm scourge, a wyvern of blackened scale and golden eye. Once each moon cycle, the dragon descended to demand tribute, gold, livestock, and on darker occasions a life. To refuse its demands was to invite fire and ruin upon the village. But this moon cycle, Dunhallow had naught left to offer. The elders convened in the chapel, their voices trembling as they debated surrender or flight. Yet amidst their clamour, a lone voice rose, firm and resolute.
"I shall face the beast,"
declared Ser Aldric, a knight-errant who had sought haven in Dunhallow after many years of wandering. He stood tall in the square, his battered mail glinting faintly in the dusk, his weathered sword in hand.
"Thou art but one man,"
cried an elder, despair writ upon his face.
"No mortal can best such a creature."
"I do not seek to best it,"
Aldric replied, his gaze unwavering.
"but I may delay it. If thou canst muster the villagers to flee ere dawn, they may yet find safety in the eastern woods."
Though fear gripped their hearts, the villagers assented, and so the preparations for flight began. As night descended, Aldric knelt upon the cold earth before his sword, a relic of his days in the service of a far-off king. Its edge was worn, yet a faint enchantment still lingered upon the blade. He prayed not for victory, but for fortitude, that he might hold the line until the villagers were beyond the dragon's reach. At the stroke of midnight, the beast came. Its roar shook the very heavens, rattling the timbers of the humble thatched roofs. With a thunderous crash, Vardraxis alighted in the square, his wings blotting out the moonlight. His golden eyes burned with malice, and his voice rolled like the gathering of a storm.
"Where is our tribute?"
He bellowed, his words seething with ancient wrath.
"Tribute there is none,"
he called.
"Thou shalt find no gold nor flesh here, only steel and defiance."
The dragon tilted its massive head, a cruel chuckle rumbling from deep within its chest.
"A knight of the old order,"
it mocked.
"Dost thou truly think thy courage will stay the wrath of Vardraxis?"
"Nay,"
said Aldric.
"but it may yet forestall it."
Vardraxis unleashed a roar that split the night, his jaws opening to spew forth a torrent of flame. Aldric leapt aside, the searing heat licking at his cloak. Rising swiftly, he struck at the beast's flank, yet his blade glanced harmlessly off its obsidian scales. The dragon laughed, its tail sweeping through the square and smashing through stone and timber alike. The knight fought on, darting and weaving to avoid the creature's crushing blows. Again and again his sword found its mark, but no cut could pierce the beast's impenetrable hide. Vardraxis toyed with him, a cat with a cornered mouse.
"Thy struggle is futile, mortal."
The wyvern snarled, swiping at Aldric with a claw larger than a warhorse. The knight was hurled against a crumbling stone wall, his breath driven from him in a sickening gasp. Blood trickled down his brow, yet he rose once more, sword trembling in his grasp.
"Persistent, are we?"
sneered the dragon.
"But persistence shall not avail thee."
Though his strength waned, Aldric pressed the attack, his every step drawing the dragon further from the village. The beast's fury grew with each strike, its flames consuming all in their path. At length, Aldrich found himself upon the cliffs overlooking the jagged seas to the west. There he turned to face the beast one final time.
Thou shalt go no further,
he declared, planting his feet upon the stony ground.
Come, Vardraxus, and face a night of Zendora.
The dragon surged forward, jaws wide, but Aldrich stood ready. As the creature struck, he drove his blade upward with all his might, the enchanted steel piercing the tender roof of the beast's gaping maw. Vardraxus shrieked in pain, his thrashing form casting sparks and shadows across the cliffside. Summoning the last vestiges of his strength, Aldrich threw himself against the dragon, and together they tumbled over the precipice into the darkness below. By dawn's first light, the villagers reached the safety of the eastern woods, their hearts heavy with grief and gratitude. None dared return to the village, for fear of what they might find. Yet as the years passed, they spoke often of Ser Aldrich, the knight who had given his life to hold the line against the storm scourge. And though the ruins of Dunhallow lay silent, a single stone wall remained untouched, a memorial to the knight who had stood alone against the darkness. Upon it, the villagers carved but one word,